How to draw an ear step by step. To begin, take an HB pencil and draw a frame that is 3.5 inches wide by 5 inches in height. This may make it easier as a beginner to draw within a certain space. I'm going to start drawing the ear by placing the angles. I'm not going to make these lines too dark because I may need to erase them. I also don't want ghost lines to appear. Now I will round out the edges of the lines. Remember, at any time you can reshape these lines by erasing and drawing new ones. In this area of the ear, it will angle inwards with forming the lobial area. Now to erase any unwanted sketch lines. A soft brush helps to remove any debris. I highly recommend one to keep your drawing clean. Next, you're now going to start drawing the inside of the ear. Notice the distance from the outer edges. This is called the helix. It will get a bit narrower along the bottom of the ear. Now to begin the inside of the ear. Draw a backward C to begin shaping the area closest to the ear canal. Follow the line on the opposite side and curve it inwards like this. This bump is called the antitragus. You will continue to shape the bottom of this area and have it meet at the top. Notice the small bump in the middle of this curved line. This is called the tragus. Using your HB pencil, start shading in the shadowed areas. Keep your shading close together so we can create a smooth blend. This little curve will represent the opening of the inner canal, so we want it a bit darker. This crevice area is in a lot of shadow. Of course, shadowed areas depend on where the light source is coming from. Let's define the edges of the inside of the ear a little darker. Now to add some mid-tone values as well with shaping cartilage areas. Notice the curve I have drawn and how I am shading next to it. I will get lighter towards the lobial area. To get lighter, don't give too much pressure to your pencil. I always work up the darks. If you press too hard, you can get shiny layers, and sometimes they are even hard to avoid. Add some shading along the outer ear to insinuate the ear is sitting out from the head as three-dimensional. You will find the ears are all different shapes. Some have small earlobes while others, especially men, will have larger ones. This is a blending tool that I really like. It blends between a tortillon and a Kleenex. This particular brand comes in 3 different sizes. This is the smallest size. I will show you the other sizes later in the video. It blends in the shading softly, and you can pull it into lighter areas that you want to create a nice light gray value or a blurred line. Now we can see the ear coming into a more realistic look. Just with darkening these up, you can see how the cartilage areas are popping out more. Don't be afraid to push the darks. It's the difference between the lights and darks that can make it appear realistic. Notice how I'm using my blending tool to create the light gray values that I'm pushing from the darker shades. It will last a long time too. Now to darken the outside edges more, I will also build up the darker values around the cartilage areas. You can really see how the ear is beginning to take shape now. And this is all done with how you place the shadowed and the light areas. Let's now blur the edges more with a lighter shade. Use a Kleenex over our first finger and blend the shading around the outside of the ear. Now to gently blend in the entire ear to help soften the edges even more. A Kleenex is great to soften skin tones. And don't forget to wipe away any debris. Flatten down a piece of kneaded eraser and gently add some highlights as shown. This will add even more realism to the drawing. I'm constantly making sure I'm using a clean part of the kneaded eraser with adding new highlights. I will use a tapping method to create a texture in the skin tones. I don't want some of the highlights to appear like solid white flat areas. The kneaded eraser is just as important step as using a blending tool and shading with a pencil. Even if you press down too hard and have taken out too much, you can always go back with the blending tool or tissue to dull down the highlight if it's too bright. During the last stages, you may be switching between the blender, pencil, or kneaded eraser to do any last-minute touch-ups. For me, it sometimes feels it's never ending as I always want to blend, add more details, or shade, but fortunately it does come to an end. A clickable eraser or pencil eraser can be great to add stronger highlights that are in tight spaces or on the edge of a line. Here I'm using a Tombow Mono Zero eraser. The eraser tip is so small that it's great for very tiny details. Here I'm adding some fine hairs around the inner area of the ear. I'm using the edge of the eraser, which will be even finer. If you like, you can now erase the framed lines. And as promised, here are the 3 sizes of blenders I used. They're lightweight and sponge tips that won't hurt your paper and will create even tones. I bought these on Amazon. I really love these and I know I'll be using them a lot from now on. And since the shadowed areas around the ear was close to my frame, I may have erased a bit of it, so I'm just going to add some more shading and smooth it out. Okay, I can say that I'm done now. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button to follow me for more.